Hi there, this is Allison with Let's Go Travel Tips. Today is Tuesday, September 6th of 2022. Today is a day that we have been waiting for a while if we cruise on Princess Cruises. So today I want to talk to you about what the protocols are that go into effect today, and I also want to have us look together down the road a little bit and what we think might be coming up after these changes come into play. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so like I said, September 6th is the day that Princess announced several weeks ago would be the day that changes to the vaccine requirements and changes to testing on most of their sailings would go into effect. So the way that they have done this is on the Princess website, they have a section that shows sailings from the US, from the United Kingdom, and from Europe. Those are all lumped together. Now in those sailings, you have just the voyages, they're just voyages, and then they have voyages that have what they call enhanced guidelines. And then they have the directives if you are going to be sailing on a cruise that departs from or has a call in or arrives in Canada, and the same for Greece. They also have their own requirements. And then on September 1st, Princess also updated their protocols for sailings that involve Australia and New Zealand. So that's what we're going to talk about. So first of all, if you are on a sailing that is not requiring one of the enhanced guidelines, and I've got a list of those sailings for you that will, if you are just sailing from the United States, the United Kingdom, or from Europe, and you are not on that enhanced voyage, the requirements for that, simply, if you are vaccinated, if you have been vaccinated, they do not talk about boosters at all. Simply, you have to be vaccinated 14 days before sailing, and you don't have to have a test. Not at all. And then if you are not vaccinated and you have to do your own test, self-administered antigen, or a medically observed PCR test within 3 days of embarkation. That's all that's required. So if you do the self-administered, when you get to embarkation, they're going to ask you if you have done a test within the last 3 days, and if it's negative, and you give your answer. And so that is so straightforward. That is really, really easy. Now, for sailings that are on these enhanced protocol voyages, the voyages that are going to have these enhanced guidelines there's a whole list of them, and I will put the link below to them, but it includes Iceland and Norwegian fjords, Pacific coastal, Hawaii, Tahiti, and South Pacific crossing, Canada and New England, of course, Canada Passage, Pacific wine country, and then let's see, around Australia, Iberia and Canary Islands, the Western Mediterranean Grand Adventure, Mediterranean with Israel and a grand adventure there, Central America and Mexico Riviera. That's just the long cruise on the Diamond Princess. And then your Panama Canal voyages, your Antarctica voyages, and these are just through the end of December of 2022 and into January of 2023 that they have listed. And so I think honestly that Princess is keeping an eye what is going to be going on with the requirements in these places and what goes on with COVID, quite frankly, to decide what will be required after that. So this just was to give you an idea of some of the voyages that do have those enhanced guidelines, but I will put a link to the list that is on Princess's website so that you can look. I would also anticipate that if you are on one of those enhanced guideline voyages, that Princess would hopefully send you an email and make you familiar with what's going to be required. But even if they don't, it is on their website. So if you are going to be on a voyage with those enhanced guidelines and you have been vaccinated, once again, they are not talking about boosters at all. You need to do a medically assisted antigen or PCR test within 3 days. That's if you're vaccinated on one of these enhanced guideline voyages, and the same if you're not vaccinated. You've got to have a medically assisted. In other words, if you do one of the ones, it's got to be proctored by someone online. So you can't just do the test on your own. So the same rule applies on these enhanced guideline voyages, whether you're vaccinated or not. You need to do that antigen or PCR test within 3 days, and you either need to do it in person somewhere, like at your Walgreens or CVS, wherever it is that you go, or you need to do it with someone, a healthcare provider, proctoring it in a video call. Alrighty. Now, along with that, on this page that they list those in addition to the list that we've got here. They mentioned that the Panama Canal full transits, trans-ocean crossings, and special voyages, that's what falls into those enhanced guideline voyages, are covered. And then we also have the separate requirements if you're going to go on a cruise to Canada. Now remember that if you are going to go on a cruise to Canada, that includes if you are going to Alaska. All of the Alaska voyages as required by the like Passenger Service Vessels Act, I probably said that wrong, but anyway, required by a law, have to stop in Canada. And so if you're going on those voyages, or if you are going on the New England voyage on the East Coast, and you're going to stop in Canada, you are also going to have to follow Canada's protocols. Okay, so let me tell you, and like this says, these are for voyages that are departing from Canada, arriving in Canada, or simply visiting Canada. I also want to add that if, for example, if you are going to be on one of these voyages and you don't want to get off the ship in Canada, that doesn't change anything. I have checked into that. You still have to meet the requirements because you'll be on that sailing. So first of all, if you're fully vaccinated, you need to do your antigen test within 2 days, or a PCR test within 72 hours. If you have received your vaccine and you've had a booster, this is the only, this is important to notice, nothing changes. You still have to do your antigen test within 2 days and your PCR test within 72 hours. If you're not vaccinated, then you need to make sure that you have got a medical exemption, because Canada does not allow an exemption for anything else. And that responsibility really rests on your shoulders. If you get to the cruise port and you're not vaccinated and you don't have an exemption, they're not going to let you on the ship. So make sure that you're really clear on that. Now, if you are not vaccinated, you've got that medical exemption, you need to do a PCR test within 72 hours. Plus, they're going to do an antigen test at the terminal. And these are required by Canada. So make sure that you're very much aware of that. Then we've got our voyages that are, oh, and you know what? Remember the ArriveCan app as well. They don't talk about it in the protocols because it's not a testing or a vaccine thing, but you have to do that ArriveCan app within 72 hours of embarking on a cruise that goes to Canada. So like I said, that includes your Alaska cruises, it includes your New England cruises that go to Canada. So just make sure that you know that. It's very easy to do, and you cannot do it until you're within that 72-hour window. You can do it by going on your computer and doing it, just arrivecan.com, or you can do it on the app, which is how I did it on my phone, and it was really very simple. And so just download the app and do it that way. You know what I had allowed before I went on my cruise that departed from Vancouver at the end of June, that evening I was like allowing like 2 hours in my schedule I blocked off so that I could have all the time it took. I was done like in 5 minutes, and I'm not exaggerating. I am not a techie person like my husband is. I just am your average 50-something-year-old person using her phone. And so it really is that straightforward. And so I just wanted to make sure that you don't forget that ArriveCan app. And likewise, if you don't want to get off the ship in Canada, it doesn't matter. They ask you to do that. So you just have to do it. Now we've got our voyages that are departing, arriving, or visiting Greece. Now, so this is the only place in the Europe requirements that they list this. So to be considered fully vaccinated, 18 and above, that is where they require you to have your initial vaccine. And then if you have not had your, if it's been more than 9 months since you got your original vaccine, you need to have a booster. But they do only talk about one booster. They don't talk about a second booster or anything. They just talk about making sure that you've got that one booster, and it's required for everyone 18 and up. If you're 17 or under, they do not require a booster. And if you are in that category, you need to do an antigen test within 2 days or a PCR test within 3 days, and you have to do it in person. You cannot do it like with someone on a video call or anything. You have to do that in person. If you are fully vaccinated and your age is 5 to 17, then you need to do the antigen test within 2 days, PCR within 3 days, exact same thing. And then if you're not vaccinated at all, then you need to do your antigen within 2 days, PCR within 3 days. It's the exact same thing. Make sure that you do those in person. And I verified last night on our live, and if you don't come to our lives, you should come. And if you're busy, you should rewatch them, because people like bring so much information. We answer questions. It's a lot of fun. But anyway, our Let's Go family member, Bruce, he's going to be getting on the Regal Princess this weekend in Rome. They are going to be stopping in Greece, clearly, and they have to do their COVID test in person there in Rome before they get on the ship. So remember, it's not just if you're in Athens getting on the ship, or if you're arriving back to Athens to get off the ship. If you're going to be stopping in Greece on your cruise, you need to do your COVID test in person, no matter where you're departing from. Okay, so keep that in mind. Make sure that you don't miss that. Now, the next thing that I think it's important to to talk to you about in this video are the voyages that are departing and or arriving, either leaving from or arriving in Australia or New Zealand. Now, if you to be considered fully vaccinated, it says you have to have received your final dose of an Australian Therapeutic Goods Administration approved or recognized COVID-19 vaccine, with the last dose being given at least 14 days before embarkation. If you fall into that group, you just need to do your own COVID test, a rapid test. They call it the RAT there, within 24 hours, or you can do a PCR within 72 hours. It's another situation where you do it on your own and then you just attest to that at an embarkation. If you are not vaccinated, here's what it says. Vaccination and capacity restrictions apply. Guests ages 12 and older who are not fully vaccinated require a medical exemption to sail. For sailings to or from Western Australia, guests ages 5 and older who are not fully vaccinated require a medical exemption. Under local protocols, prior infection with COVID-19 is not grounds for a medical exemption. Medical exemptions need to be submitted to Princess for validation before a booking can be guaranteed. So I read that to you to make sure that we had it exactly right. And if you are not vaccinated, you also have to do your own self-administered rapid antigen test, that RAT test there, within 24 hours, or a PCR test within 72 hours. And then let me read you this exception here. It says, with the exception of sailings to or from Western Australia, vaccination requirements do not apply to children aged 11 years and younger. For sailings to or from Western Australia, vaccine requirements do not apply for children aged 4 and under. So make sure if you're taking children with you that you are really clear on those. So I hope that all of this helps. Now, looking forward, and then we're going to talk about Azamara here really quick, and then also Princess. So looking forward, I would really like to get you all's opinion. Now, like I said, that list of the enhanced voyage guideline, voyages with enhanced guidelines, only goes through the end of December and creeps into the beginning of January on some of those cruises. And so I am honestly wondering if the cruise lines are really gonna, and particularly Princesses, we were talking about them right here, if they are just going to kind of keep their eye, and we might hear a little bit more from them in January, or if they'll just extend their list if things are going smoothly. I think that's what's most likely to happen. If things are going super smoothly and not having any trouble, I think that they'll probably just continue on as they are. But at the same time, I think that if things really change a lot, if we were to see a strong variant come out that made a lot of people really sick, that might make them tweak their protocols down the road. And that's actually what I think is going to happen for the foreseeable future. The foreseeable future can be a really long time, but really until things change, I think that the cruise lines are going to have to tweak protocols here and there until whenever something happens. We see that a lot with masking. Eddie and someone else mentioned last night, as I had seen as well on Dawn's video, that they started to require more masking and being more careful. We see that come and go on lots of different ships. The north and southbound cruises in Alaska this year, since really early in the season, have asked people to please mask if they're not eating or drinking when they're indoors. And so I think that that's just going to be what we see. I'd really like your opinion on it, but I am really excited from this, just simply from the standpoint that it is just always so stressful to line up a test to get done somewhere that someone can proctor for you within this set amount of time. And I think that this really does ease a lot of that tension, and it will make it cheaper. You won't have to spend so much. We still, Gordon and I, have a lot of those tests that we had ordered from eMed left, and we will use them, of course, until they expire. But I just think that this will make everything a little bit less expensive for everyone. There's always the pros and cons. So much, I think, I think that, of course, you look at thinking, oh, is everyone is everyone negative as they get on the ship? But then so many people have flown to get there, and just so much exposure that I don't know how. It's just really an interesting conversation of how valuable that is. So anyway, that's where we are today. And so if you've got questions, put them down below. Now, Azamara has also updated their health protocols. And so starting on December 1st, they are no longer going to require proof of vaccination for sailing starting and ending in the United States or sailing starting and ending in Europe. Okay, so once that date comes, they don't mind. And it says all other sailings require proof of vaccination and booster until further notice. Guests can check specific travel restrictions for countries listed in their itineraries, and then they've got a little link on their page so that you can look. And truly, I think that that's just going to change over the time as countries change the requirements. I looked at it, and they covered the same places that everyone else does. And then just a testing, it says Azamara does not require a negative COVID test prior to boarding unless this is required by a local country regulations. However, we highly recommend that guests take a COVID-19 test prior to boarding. Of course, you don't want to leave on vacation when you're sick. And then it says, please note that there are countries that still require guests to present a negative COVID-19 test prior to boarding, and guests must adhere to those requirements. So truly, Azamara, it sounds like, is the same as the rest, except for starting December 1st, you're not going to have to say if you're vaccinated or not. Now, be aware that with Princess, on that Medallion class app, you have to put in there your proof, your vaccine card, or however, wherever you are from, you show that you are vaccinated. You still have to upload that to the Princess Medallion class app. They have not made any changes yet to make it so that you have to upload your picture of doing your own self-test. And I don't honestly think that they're going to. I think that as they look at that app, I think that there are other more interesting things they could do with it. I think it would be great to be able to book your excursions on the Medallion class app. I think it would be really nice to be able to there's just lots of things. I've got lots of ideas for Princess, but that doesn't really matter today. So the other thing that I wanted to let you know is last night in our live, Nicholas asked if we knew who matches loyalty on Princess. So on Princess, we've got the Captain Circle, and as you know, the more days you cruise, you move up the ladder of what level you are with the loyalty program there. You know who works with Princess on that? It's MSC. We thought, initially, and I remembered that after we got off the call, Holland America does not, and I have first-hand experience with them not. I cruised with them the first time, and I'm Platinum with Princess, and with Holland America, I was just a first-star Mariner, a 1-star, which is appropriate. I hadn't cruised with them before, and Royal Caribbean does not, also not. But MSC does. They have a calculator that they use that they will take where you are with Princess and give you a better ranking there when you sail with MSC. So I hope that helps some of you. We have not been on MSC yet. It's on my list of cruise ships to sail on. But if any of you have any other updates, please do let me know. Tomorrow we're going to have lots more updates like usual. And I've got my list going to talk about Boston. So if any of you have anything else that you would like to know about, put it below and I will work on it. Thanks for your amazing support. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. It really does help us out. And if you appreciate these updates, please give this video a thumbs up. That helps us as well. I'll be talking to you all again really soon. You all take really good care. God bless you. Love you. Bye-bye.